What's up everyone, professional bass angler Jacob Wheeler here, going to dive into how to select the right rod. When you're at the Academy store looking for that particular rod, that perfect rod for the application you're fishing, what do you choose? There's so many when you go down the aisle. Now, first thing I'm gonna look at is action, okay? So you have like a medium heavy, you have a heavy action, a medium action. That's going to be the bend profile of the rod overall, like how much weight can it really hold? Now, I have a lot of people ask me like, oh man, how much weight can this rod hold? It just really comes down to the overall bend profile and everything for this rod. This one right here is a parabolic action. This is a 7-foot medium heavy. And if I had one rod to select out of all the rods out there, this is the rod that I would select because I could do so much with it. So if you're a beginner angler and you're looking for that perfect rod, probably that 7 foot on length, the action and power, I would go with that medium heavy, man. Medium heavy, moderate tip allows me to sort of do a little bit of everything. You don't want necessarily a super fast tip. I like that parabolic action because I can do pretty much everything that I want to. And then you just have to go out there and put it to work. Now, the thing is, 7 foot seems to be about the perfect size, but if I'm trying to get a little bit more leverage lengthwise, I'll go up to a 7.3 or a 7.6. Now, one advantage to that is I can make longer casts with a 7.3 and a longer rod or a 7.6, but I also have more leverage. So this is like a 7 foot, 6-inch heavy action rod. Now this one right here, I could flip in there and I can get into those bushes, or I can cast out there with a big worm or a jig and I have leverage. So like if I pitch to that tree and that fish goes in there and grabs my bait, I set the hook and he's got me all wrapped up in that stuff. Having a little bit longer rod helps you in that situation because you can pull those fish out of that. You know, when it's that long cast, if you reel down and set the hook, you're probably gonna have a lot better chance of getting that fish in the boat with a longer rod and a heavier action rod than you are probably with, you know, a 7 foot rod. So that's sort of how I select it. Now there's a lot of different actions and everything out there, but tend to go with the heavier actions for more of, you know, the heavier cover, or if I'm like the single hook baits, like I'm thinking a jig, a flipping, stuff like that is when I'm gonna use a heavier action, a frog, something I need to really wrestle those fish or make, again, set the hook and get that fish from a long distance. Now, on the medium heavy actions, for the most part, I'm utilizing that for more of my spinner baits, my vibrating jigs, stuff like that, maybe even a lipless crankbait. And the medium actions, for the most part, it comes down to more of my crankbaits, if you will. Medium heavy, more like medium, somewhere in there, crankbaits, jerkbaits, stuff like that is really what I'm going to ultimately, that's where I'm gonna go with that medium action. Even little small top waters, you can roll with it as well. Now, most of the time I'm picking a rod that's somewhere between that 7 foot and 7.6. The only time that I'm going lower than that is if I'm really like in short, making little short roll casts, or if I'm throwing like a jerkbait. A jerkbait, a lot of times, when you're throwing that jerkbait and you're pulling it down, a 610 medium action rod, which is one in my series, I'll throw a little small, 1/4 ounce flipless crankbait or super small crankbaits on that rod. And then I'll also throw more of like, you know, your jerk baits, and because I'm ultimately making that jerk, I'm jerking that rod downward to get the action out of that bait, and sometimes that can be difficult to do that. So this is the thing, if you are looking for that perfect rod, it really just depends on the individual person and ultimately how, you know, what works for you. I know some people that love 6.6s, that's their favorite and it works for them. I know some people that love 7.6s and almost all of their rods are 7.6 or taller. That is the key, figuring out what works for you. I would suggest starting around that 7 foot to 7.3 lengthwise, pick up a medium heavy action. If you're trying to go with that little bit heavier cover, go with a heavier, even an extra heavy, and then just go out there and see what works for you, because that's ultimately what's gonna matter. Hopefully y'all enjoy this video. For more tips and techniques, subscribe to the Academy Sports and Outdoors YouTube channel, as well as if you're looking for stock up on some bass fishing gear, check out academy.com or your local Academy. We'll see you guys later.